The Ashe Conservation Trust found out last month that there are organized incursions happening deep inside the Bladen Nature Reserve. A team of YCT rangers were on patrol in Bladen in mid-February, and that's when they found out that the forest is being plundered.
The rangers, they found as much as over 5 active hunting camps, because hunting is one activity that we noticed over the years have increased significantly in the Bladen Nature Reserve. When the patrol moved a little bit deeper into the Bladen Nature Reserve, they found a huge camp measuring 15 by 15 in length, and the guys, they found a lot of cut trees, felled trees within the area. And we're talking about species such as rosewood and mahogany.
Illegal hunting has always been an issue, from the buffer communities in the south as well as cross-border villages. But the extraction of commercial species of wood is worrying. It's a discovery that points directly to Guatemalans, and Ashe believes this is an organized commercial operation.
That, however, is a little bit strange because, like I mentioned before, we have seen activities such as hunting and a little bit of farming in some instances, but never logging to this magnitude. The rangers basically found about 14 or more or less 14 big trees being felled. And like I mentioned, these were mahogany and rosewood, to the point where the rangers basically stopped counting the amount of trees that they found within the area. So we believe that the operation is very big, and we're very worried because we know that we're going into the dry season, and we know that there is signs that the loggers are going to come back within the area. I think what is more concerning for us is really the evidence found as well. The type of garbage that was found around those camps all indicates that it's Guatemalans that are coming in to do that logging.
It's a remote area where it takes a week to get in and out. And so on this trip, the rangers patrolled several spots and documented the evidence. There, they found multiple hunting camps, including this big camp measuring 15 by 15. This map shows that the areas where these illegal activities are happening are close to the Belize-Guatemala border.
Knowing where the location of these illegal activities are happening, we could kind of look at it in reference to where the Belize-Guatemalan border is, in an area called the Burgos Plateau, which is just south of the Chiquibul. It's still fairly rugged, but it's a high, fairly flat area. The nearest community across the border is Las Lajas, and the border itself, moving towards the point where the guys were collecting this information, is somewhere about just over 7 miles away from the border.
The proximity to Guatemala is very small, so it makes it more accessible for them to move from Guatemala into that area. The camp is fairly a very newly constructed camp. We found lots of pots, cups, chainsaw oil, fuel, and gallons as well to store that fuel. So we know that these people are coming back into the area.
Inside the Bladen Nature Reserve, there is widespread evidence of incursions. The rangers counted as many as 10 different trails, but they have yet to explore all these trails to find out the extent of incursions in the Bladen Nature Reserve.
We have been saying that, we've seen this level of activities within the Columbia River Forest Reserve as well. But never had it occurred to us that it was going to happen that soon within the Bladen Nature Reserve. When the rangers found that site, they stopped counting the amount of trees that they found on the ground. We also found flitches beside that, meaning that people are going to cut those trees, but also taking out some of those flitches as well. One thing to note is the amount of harsh trails that we found as well. So we know that they're taking out this lumber utilizing horses.
YCT is sounding the alarm on what could become another major transboundary issue with Guatemala. In the Bladen Nature Reserve, there is a lot to lose. It is one of the most forested and untouched parts of Belize, with a network of ecosystems as well as archaeological sites. It has the highest level of tree species in all of Central America, and more than 300 species of birds, over 90 species of mammals, as well as reptiles and fish. For now, the YCT team will continue to document the issues using technology, but that can only do so much.
So we rely heavily on, maybe 1 or 2 of these reconnaissance patrols a year. However, we would like to do many more. So in the absence of more frequent patrols, we have to find alternatives to monitoring. And one of those is through the use of satellite imagery. And combine it with the on-the-ground data that the guys collect. Satellite imagery, the latest satellite imagery shows very little because you can't see anything through the canopy. But that's where the on-the-ground support is needed. So there's a lot of natural and cultural heritage that should be protected. And so far it has benefited from, being sandwiched in between all these other protected areas, being in the core. So it had been shielded from most of the unfortunate activities that the Chiquibul, for example, has suffered over the last couple of decades.
So now they need the government's support to strengthen enforcement in the Bladen Nature Reserve.
But also we need support from the Belize Defense Force and also the Forest Department. Because the area is very rugged. The guys, they took 7 days to arrive to the Bladen Nature Reserve, to the area where they found that extraction happening. So it is very rugged. It's a very tedious task. And Yaksha cannot do it on its own. We really need the support of the regulatory agency to find out more what is happening there, and to have more or less some more presence within that area as well.
Right. I was going to ask if you think that maybe one of the solutions would be a conservation post down in that area.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, the discovery is quite alarming, and that could be a potential solution to the issue that we're facing within that area.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.